Hey everyone. Today we're going to be talking about how to find the resources we need to answer some of our research questions. As you know, for the past last week, we were concentrating on the research process. We have been reviewing and looking at the different things related with research and basically the steps. So just as a review, the research steps or research is a process that we follow when we want to or need to find out more information about a topic. There are basically 6 steps to this process. And basically, research is learning about something and then being able to share what you learn with somebody else. So, the first step within the research process is determining what your topic is, what you are wondering about, what you want to know about. And part of that is also figuring out, well, what is my task? So, usually you think about a main topic that you want to learn about, something that you are interested in, something you want to get better at, something you're trying to solve, and then narrow it down. For instance, if I enjoy cooking, I might want to know more about how to bake a cake. Okay, I might want to think about, well, what do I already know about baking a cake? And then what do I really want to learn? Do I want to learn how to bake a specific cake? So you start always with the wonder. The question of what are you interested in and what do you want to know more about? That's the first step in starting research. The second step in research is to develop your questions about your topic. More about like, well, what do you want to know? Usually in this step, we also think about what do I already know about my topic. So again, back to my baking cake example for research, I would start with, well, I want to bake a cake. And what do I already know about baking cakes? And part of it might be, well, I already know some of the ingredients I need to make a basic cake. But what if I want to make a cheesecake? So first you look at, well, okay, what do I already know? You kind of narrow down your topic a little bit because maybe you want to know some very specific things because baking cake is a huge topic. And if I went and I tried to find information on it, I might get too much information for me to make any sense out of it. So I want to narrow down my topic, like maybe like, well, gee, I wonder about cheesecake. So maybe I want to start looking up things like, well, who was the first person who ever decided to make a cake with cheese in it? Like, what is this cheesecake thing? So I would start narrowing down my topic. And with that, I would then start writing my questions. And we've talked about this already, but just to review it, you can have what we call open ended questions, which are sometimes referred to as like thick questions, and questions that you cannot answer with a yes or a no. Questions where you actually have to do a lot of reading and do a lot of inferring of information to answer your questions. Then there are your closed ended questions, questions that can be answered pretty much with 1 or 2 words. Sometimes these are called like thin questions. So, for instance, if I wanted to know like a question like who ever made the first cheesecake or who made the first recipe for a cheesecake, that might be a little bit of a closed ended question. I might actually get a person's name. So, in a way, that's kind of a thin question. But if I want to do something that's a little bit bigger than that or a little bit more open ended, it might be something similar to, um, boy, this is a hard one. It might be something very similar to an open ended question about um, when, no, why? Why did the cheesecake ever get invented? That might be a better question for an open ended question. The why did it end up becoming a cheesecake? Or even the hows behind, like, how did someone come up with this idea? So those sometimes can be a little bit more reading, a little bit more searching for your answers. When you are doing research, you should have both types. You should have a couple closed-ended questions, and you should have a couple open-ended questions. And the development of your questions, again, should always go back to like, well, what do you really want to know? The third step, uh, um, so when you are thinking about your questions, what do I want to know versus what do I need to know to complete my tasks? And as you are writing your questions, always remember to think about those: the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, and the how. Because they will really, those question words will really help you develop some good research. The third step is to choose the resources that are going to be useful for you to find your answers. And it's usually like the best ones for your topic. Okay, so you start with the question of, well, what are the best resources for me to find information? There are a lot of places to go to find information these days. We have our print resources. We have our resources such as our nonfiction books, our magazines, encyclopedias, and we also have our online resources. So these are our web-based, our internet resources. They can be databases, they can be specific websites, and you can also use some search engines such as like Kiddle or KidRex that could help you answer some of your questions. And you can also use videos. Sometimes there's a lot of videos and educational videos that can help us with our research. So this is the step that we're at today, is trying to determine the best resources for answering our questions. So if I go back to the whole idea of, okay, I want to know about cakes. I want to know specifically about the cheesecake. And I wrote my questions about cheesecake. Where am I going to find the best information for that? Am I going to want to look in a cookbook? Am I going to want to look at a certain type of food encyclopedia? Would I want to be looking at food magazines? Or what are the best online resources for me to accomplish my task? My specific websites that might help me, my specific databases might help me. I'll tell you, when I'm thinking about cooking, I don't think an encyclopedia is probably the best place for me to start. That's probably not the best resource for me to find my information. If I was looking for something else, say I was looking for information on an animal, such as like a bear, I would probably go to the encyclopedia first because encyclopedias can give you a general overview of the information that you're looking for. I'm looking at a sport as my topic. So maybe I want to know more about lacrosse or more about basketball. I would probably start with an encyclopedia or an online database to figure out that information. So part of what you're going to be doing today for your assignment is going to be trying to determine best resources in order to answer your questions. So when we get to step three, you should always already have your topic planned and you should already have your questions written. If you haven't picked your topic and you haven't written your question yet, you will need to do that. At this point, I'm going to have you click on the assignment button below this video. And on that assignment, you're going to start by looking at print resources by using the online school library online catalog. I've taught you about this before, and we have talked about it. It's actually called the OPAC, the Online Public Access Catalog. It's basically all the resources, the print resources, and it actually lists some videos and so forth that we have within the district. I know that you might be thinking, well, how am I going to get a book if there's a book that I'm interested in? I'm not going to have you reserve them today, but on your activity for what you need to do, you need to try to find at least two print resources, the title of the print resource, and the call number. And you're going to be answering and submitting an assignment in which you tell me your topic and two resources, print resources that we would have in the library or in the school library catalog. It doesn't have to be just at Reads. It can be even at a different school for this purpose for today. Part of learning to be a researcher is knowing how to find the resources that you need. So today is good practice on using the OPAC in order to search for print resources that could help you with your topic. Okay, and I will be looking at the resources that you pick. So make sure that you go on to the assignment, which is located right beneath this video. Thank you.